So let's start. Okay, I'm going to present these slides around achieving enterprise agility, superior scalability, and deployment at speed with application performance as a service. Massive title. Okay, I try to keep it into something that's more self-contained and easier to understand and less grandiloquent than the title of the slides. Okay, so the topics I will be covering will be the following. On the one hand, just quick introduction of myself, the presenter. Okay, I will be covering then a little bit of the pain points, the customer needs, what we're seeing in the market, what customers are demanding from us. Okay, our approach for soothing these pain points that customers have currently, which is deployment at speed, smart autonomics, a level of automation applied to operations. Okay, and then the deep APM as a service, which is pretty much the core of the offering that we're trying to deliver to our customers. Then pulling it together, define what good looks like, what an ideal solution for a customer is, and and finally, some of the real-world examples, stuff that we've implemented with our customers with some success stories, and also how much we have improved by implementing all the functionality and the capabilities that we have delivered currently as part of the solution overall. So, the presenter, myself. I'm Oscar Garcia. I'm running operations for the Cloud and Managed Services business unit of NTT Communications at a global scale. Okay, for those who don't have the pleasure of knowing NTT Communications, it's like the Japanese version of AT&T, which means it's like a large global telco, okay, with presence in something like 190 countries, quite big. Lots of data center operation, lots of network operation, lots of SI kind of business, big customers, and at the same time, maybe a little bit slow. It's coming from the old world, from the monolithic kind of environment. Okay? I sold my company to them, effectively the second company, in the year 2009. Okay? So I'm coming from a completely different background, right? I'm coming from the startup world, so I'm all for agility, speed, operational intelligence, managing budgets in a timely fashion. Trying to be very efficient, very budget conscious. At the same time, even though the guys from NTT Communications are a big telco, some guys will even call them dinosaurs, instead of them trying to shoehorn me and my company into the way that they operate, they tried to do this the other way around. So they wanted to transform the company from a traditional environment into an agile environment by using our capabilities. And so far, so good. We're really happy because we've been able to transform quite a big part of the internet-related business within NTT Communications to work in a more modern fashion that's more aligned with the company that I used to have, which is really good. So I'm really happy. Finally, I love AppDynamics. Okay, I've been a user of AppDynamics almost since day one. I have an interesting story, I think, which how I got in touch with AppDynamics, because I just was evaluating some APM solutions in the market. I got to download AppDynamics, and I put my email address and this and that, and then half an hour later, I got a phone call from Bhaskar, the CTO of the company, who was presenting this morning, that wanted to do a POC physically in my office in Barcelona. He was on holiday in Barcelona, and he showed up literally in front of my office to do the POC. Since that day, okay, we began a good relationship, and we've been using AppDynamics and pushing AppDynamics within NTT Communications quite effectively since then. So I'm really happy with these guys. Okay, so let's go into the core of the presentation. Okay, let's go and discuss a little bit about the pain points. What are we seeing in the market? What are we trying to fix? The pain points that our customers are facing. Okay, we're talking here about pretty much five pain points, which are the core of what customers are facing currently. Customers are lacking visibility of their application state. Okay, customers know what applications they have, but they don't know how they relate to each other. Okay, they're looking for a solution to fix this. They're also having a lot of tooling that's inconsistent, that's complex, that's slow, that's monitoring some silos, some parts of the customer solution, but not the full end-to-end solution. So it's very difficult for them to deploy this tooling in a way that covers absolutely everything, which is deployment at scale, what we will be trying to describe as one of the solutions. Another thing that's also a pain point that customers are facing is that they have a lot of alerts coming from discrete systems not linked to each other without any kind of context. So it's very difficult to fix things because you don't know to what extent things are being affected by the system. Okay. At the same time, another layer of complexity that's being added to this is the move from traditional monolithic IT approaches into DevOps, way more agile, more fluid, lots of changes at the same time, all this in this complex environment. And finally, it's difficult to access and to retain subject matter experts, the ninjas, the guys who know Oracle inside out, the guys who know AWS inside out. It's very difficult to get access to these guys. It's very expensive to get these guys also interested into what we're doing. So it's quite a messy environment. It's difficult to fix and to tame all this complexity in customer solutions. One of the approaches that we have for fixing this is agile deployment. We consider that agile deployment is one critical part for fixing these challenges. Okay, so some of the arguments we have around this. First is that full visibility in a dynamic environment is a must. Okay? Currently, application environments are extremely complex. We have multiple cloud providers delivering part of the virtual machines we have here, there. We have containers. We have plenty of complexity that's changing over time. At the same time, all this complexity needs to be monitored. We need to instrument this. We need to provide visibility that covers all the elements of the solution. If we are missing a part of the solution into the monitoring solution, okay, chances that this is the part that will be failing are extremely high, and we will not know. We only find out when customers call us, and this is the worst time for finding this, that we have an error. So we need to cover the full spectrum. This is a theme that will be recurrent throughout the presentation. Okay? At the same time, we need to provide context. I mean, everything is linked to each other, and unless we provide context between all the different elements that are connected to each other, it's very difficult to find out what the root cause is or be very effective into fixing the issues that we see. And finally, the environment is changing very quickly. I mean, things are moving at a really, really high speed. DevOps, it's defining the infrastructure through code, and it's something that's changing over time in a very, very quick manner. Okay? This is something that's related also to the integration of the lifecycle of the application. Okay, so anything that we implement for monitoring needs to be implemented with the current lifecycle of the application. It cannot be that for deploying some monitoring, we need to do any manual task ever. I mean, the moment that we add a manual step for deploying monitoring, we're doomed. It's the end of the game, right? I mean, all of a sudden we have something that takes a lot of time to implement, and we have something that is error prone because it's a human being that's doing this. So it's not something that's good. We need to try to avoid any manual intervention. We need to make it very simple so that any new production environment that comes online comes with all the monitoring bundled, okay? And it needs to be very reliable and auditable. I mean, we need to show evidence to the business that we're monitoring everything, and we need to trust this solution. It's something that's important, and this will be the first step for a successful APM solution, which is what we are aiming for. We'll describe now what approach we're following for solving these pain points. Okay, our approach tends to be quite simple, okay, and it's a three-step based approach. Okay, on the first hand, okay, the core of the presentation, which is the deployment at scale, how we're deploying these solutions, okay, in agile, integrated, comprehensive, and scalable manner. We want to be able to be very effective in the deployment of the monitoring solution to cover absolutely everything. Then we will move into smart operations. How can we do for leverage a little bit more of the operational efficiency that implementing a comprehensive monitoring tool such as APM through AppDynamics can be done, okay? Something that enables us to have a reliable, secure, and dependable monitoring solution. And finally, we will get into a bit more detail about how to enable deep application performance management as a service, something that enables companies to leverage the best-of-breed resources that we can offer, okay, for delivering full coverage of the application performance monitoring solution, obviously through AppDynamics. The first step is deployment speed. Okay? We need to be able to deliver agile and consistent monitoring for our solutions. Okay? What we're trying to do here is not reinvent the wheel. We're trying just to implement some of the industry best practices and some of the secret sources of the experience that we've had by using AppDynamics for a really long time into something that enables a very reliable and good deployment approach for AppDynamics. Our approach is to engage our professional services to go through a 5-step approach. On the first, we will be consulting and discovering together with the customer what the infrastructure we have. Okay? Once we know this, we will be moving into the design of the architecture that we will be using for application performance management. We will be building the solution, deploying the solution. And finally, one step that's not classic one. I mean, most of the time when we're talking about deployment, things end at the deployment phase. In our case, we take it one step further and we do a continuous support of the solution. This continuous support covers things like analysis of KPIs, improvements, and operational efficiency benefits, leveraging some of the operational efficiency benefits that we can use by using AppDynamics. I will get into the detail around these different stages we have here. The first one is the consultancy and discovery. Here, what we will go through several stages, okay, for finding out what the customer has. The first part is understanding what the solution looks like. Okay? Customers have different kinds of infrastructure. They may be using more than one cloud provider, and they will be using some things on-prem. They will also have their own application architecture, whether it's based around containers, it's based around just off-the-shelf AMIs running on top of Amazon, or they're using something that's a bit more custom. So we need to understand what the application architecture is, because this will drive some of the design criteria that we will be using for deploying the solution. Okay? And another thing that's also very important is to understand the operational support systems tooling that the customer is currently using. Things like what monitoring tools are currently in place, what ticketing systems are they using? Are they using ServiceNow? Are they using Remedy? What environments they're using? CMDB information, are they using Atrium? Are they just leveraging ServiceNow for CMDB? They have no CMDB because everything is so fluid. There's no way a CMDB can be up to speed with the customer infrastructure. So there's plenty of information that we need to understand before we're able to design things. Okay? Once we have a clear picture of what the customer infrastructure looks like, so we need to understand what the customer is trying to achieve. I mean, are we looking for better visibility? Are we trying to squeeze some performance out of the existing system? Do we want to increase the availability of the solution? We need to know which way to go. I mean, what's the final objective, okay, so that we can design something that's suitable for this environment. Finally, we will be capturing the requirements with a bit more detail. And the last part, which I think is the most important, is to define some KPIs so that we know what we can consider success. I mean, unless we measure things, it's very difficult to know whether we've done right or we've done wrong, or we have to steer things in one way or the other. KPIs we tend to define with customers, and we think are the ones that are more relevant for them is how long does it take to get to the root cause analysis of an incident that we had in the system? What's the average resolution time for these incidents? What's the first contact resolution time average? I mean, these are metrics that really measure how we are delivering on the operational front, and this is something that we can use as the KPI for driving how we are refining the process through the implementation of APM. Okay? Once we have this first phase completed, we move to design of the architecture, which in our case, we try to separate this in two steps, into different areas. One of them has to do with design of the deployment and the operational specific environment, and the other one is more specific towards AppDynamics, the specifics of the AppDynamics installation that we will be doing in this case. When we're talking about the deployment, the operational specific area, we're talking about things like, for example, discussing with customers how we should be sizing the central automation server. I mean, we are going to be we're going to be deploying monitoring for a substantial amount of servers. Okay, and when all these servers bootstrap, they begin sending all the monitoring information. We need to have enough capacity so that we're able to manage this in a proper way. Okay? We also need to work together with the customer into packaging the agents and the whole application so that things make sense and it's fully integrated with what they are currently doing. We need to define also a data transfer and orchestration solution. We need to transfer the agents to the different VMs or containers that we are going to monitor, and we need to orchestrate because we need to trigger the execution and the beginning of things like, for example, creation of snapshots or different elements that need to happen and need to be orchestrated in a centralized manner. Okay? Another important part is defining the bootstrapping mechanism. It can be as simple as just using the init scripts that all the AMIs within OpenStack and AWS provide, or can be something that's more elaborate that has a central repository of different servers with different roles that we leverage for doing the node classification part, which can be integrated or can be integrated within the CMDB. Finally, we will be designing the architecture that has to do with the integration with the ticketing and alerting system. At the end of the day, we're talking most of the times about integrating with a PagerDuty-like API into the system or ServiceNow. This is what happens in 90% of the cases, but we need to have this sorted. We need to have this well-defined so that we can implement this properly. And also solution access. I mean, we need to access remotely the solution for fixing some things and logging into the servers. We need to define this access mechanism. All the time, we always try not to access the customer solution. We try not to be detached from accessing the system because this simplifies a lot all the security requirements that customers may have. On the other hand, when we move to the AppDynamics specific elements, we're talking about controller sizing. I mean, do we need to use the software? Can we use the software as a service controller? Do we need to deploy a specific controller for this specific customer? Depends a little bit on some requirements. They tend to be just data sovereignty. Okay, at the end of the day, especially if you're working in the European market, data sovereignty is something that's quite tricky, and a lot of customers, especially government agencies and all this, they want to work with on-prem still until, I mean, it's just a matter of time until they move to the software as a service approach, at least for the controller. We need to plan the network. We need to plan anything that has to do with the application itself. I mean, with AppDynamics itself. I mean, the creation of applications, application tiers, what nodes go towards what tiers, what is this membership relationship, how does it work, detection of business transactions, policies, thresholds, reporting, baselining, everything like this. And then something that most of the people tend to be using third-party tools, but we are way more comfortable leveraging the use of AppDynamics, which is automation design. Okay, something fails, and we want, as part of the resolution of this incident, to use AppDynamics for restarting application server, for doing auto-scaling, for triggering auto-scaling within AWS, or triggering auto-scaling within AppDynamics. Designing a little bit of automation at this stage is something that's important. Okay, and finally, something that's affects also the business, which is optimizing a little bit the number of agents. I mean, trying to minimize this so that we are a bit more effective cost-wise. Once we have the design done, we will move to the building and deployment. At the same time, and the same thing as previously, right? We have deployment specific stuff like building out or integrating with the central repository, integrating with the automation tools that the customer may have. We are able to integrate, and AppDynamics is very easy to integrate with the likes of Puppet, Chef, Windows, DSC, CloudFormation, Heat, I mean, whatever you name it. Okay? We will be packaging the agent and application if needed, so that we can bootstrap this properly, and when VMs start or where containers start, they are already monitored by AppDynamics. And then we integrate with the customer continuous integration system with Jenkins or whatever they have, so that everything is in sync and it's fully covered. Okay? The AppDynamics specific configuration, I mean, all the design that we did previously, we will be implementing within AppDynamics, and all the OSS specific features like alerting and ticketing integration will be, in this case, implemented and deployed. When we get to this stage, I mean, we finally finished basic implementation and deployment of the customers of the monitoring solution, right? I mean, we have all the VMs, all the agents reporting up to the controller, sending metrics. I mean, we have all the alerts coming into the dashboards that AppDynamics provides. Okay, so we're effectively in run phase. I mean, we are in BAU phase, which is where we spend most of the time. From our point of view, if you stop here, you're missing half of the trick here, because one of the things that we haven't done yet is to measure what's the outcome of implementing this. Unless you measure this, you don't know whether you've improved or you haven't improved. So this is why we offer this additional phase, which is the continuous deployment support. Okay? That provides several aspects that I think are good for managing the life cycle of the application. On the one hand, we offer things like consistency checks. This is something that sounds very basic, but at the same time is really powerful. Okay? It happens very often that all the information we have in AppDynamics is not in sync. So the agents that are reporting back to AppDynamics are not in sync with the agents that we have deployed as our list of AWS instances. So we have a level of tools, scripting, that enables us to list what we have in AppDynamics and what we have as part of the AWS instances, or OpenStack, or Azure, or wherever we are, and compare the two. Okay? When we find any difference across these two, okay, these are the candidates that we have for potential challenges in monitoring. So it's very easy to get a list of what needs to be fixed on stuff that's not being monitored. The same happens with connectivity. It's very easy that we lose connectivity from some of the agents towards the controllers. I mean, we have some scripts and some IP around mCollective that enables us to make sure that we close the circle. Same happens with facts. I mean, if we want to know what versions of the agents we have deployed all over the place, how do you do it? You log into each server and begin finding out what versions we have. You log into console. Maybe we can automate this by using facts around Factor, for example, if you're using Puppet. Okay, and this way you have all this information within the same environment, and you can operate this in a more efficient manner. As well as these consistency checks, the other part that's important as part of the continuous deployment support is KPI review. Okay, in this case, what we do is we do an analysis of root cause analysis. How long does it take us to get to the root cause of some of these incidents? The same happens with first contact resolution times and incident resolution times. This way, we're able to see what difference it makes adding AppDynamics to our solution. I mean, if before it took us 4 hours on average to get to the root cause analysis, maybe now it takes us 20 minutes. I mean, it's something that that we have means for measuring and obviously show the business back as part of the return of investment of this implementation. Finally, another thing that's important as well is to analyze how we are fixing things so that we look for potential automation opportunities, how we should be doing incident resolution to be more effective and implementing this within AppDynamics. Okay? One of the other things that we also do is control support, mostly capacity planning, which is important in case you're talking about the on-prem controller, not so relevant when you're using the software as a service because the guys from AppDynamics take care of this sizing, okay, which is really good. And the last part is overall solution review. Obviously, solutions change, application change, the objective of the customer can change. So maybe we have to go back to the beginning to analyze what the customer needs and then change the potentially change the deployment requirements or the configuration requirements of the solution so that it fulfills the customer need. Okay. With all this, what benefits do we get? I mean, we've implemented this. I mean, what's the upside of going through all this process? Mostly, having a deployment that's scalable and secure, that it's fully covered, that covers fully the whole stack, the whole solution that we are managing. Not implementing third-party new tools. We try to leverage what the customer already has, things like AWS, environments, Azure, VMware, Puppet, Chef. I mean, you name it. Okay, and also making sure that no part of the solution is left unmonitored, which is one of the pain points that we always have. I mean, it's very easy to leave something without monitoring and obviously feel the pain of having this potential challenge coming, cropping back. Okay, this goes for deployment. Okay, if we move forward, okay, another thing that we think it's also value added, and once you have an APM solution in place, it's something that you can leverage, is trying to add a little bit of smart operations autonomics. It's trying to leverage a little bit more of the automation that we can get out of the tool, which is substantial. Okay, cover this. So why are we talking about smart operations autonomics? So let's assume that we have AppDynamics already deployed using all the processes and steps that we described previously. Okay. What we try to achieve here is just our best practice approach for leveraging the functionality that AppDynamics offers. This is just a framework, just a very basic framework that we're implementing in our customers, so that this way, very quickly, with a very low touch and almost a stealth way, I mean, very simple, okay, we're trying to improve the return on investment that we have on the tool with very little effort. Okay. Let me give you a bit of background of the challenges that we're facing currently and we're seeing in most of our customers, especially around automation. Okay? Automation in operations, and the classic approach, is to focus on incident resolution. I mean, something very basic. Something fails, the automation engine captures the event, the automation engine fixes the event, and the thing. 99% of the times we're talking about a restart of the application server, a memory leak or whatever. This is pretty much what most of the people end up doing. And then the service is recovered. Okay? This is something that works at the beginning. It's the classic thing that the likes of IPsoft and all these guys are doing, which is really basic event remediation. Okay, but this creates more problems than it solves, right? The problem with this approach is that we're not doing any root cause analysis. So if something fails, it will continue failing and failing and failing again. The automation agent will be capturing this and fixing this. But at the same time, we will be becoming fully dependent on the automation engine. The moment that the automation engine stops working, our application falls into pieces. I mean, automatically stops working, which is something that's not very sustainable and we're not looking for. So we're not adding any smarts here. The other approach is the classic in the operations world, ITIL kind of environment, okay, which is mostly focused around RCA, root cause analysis, okay, which is something fails, the monitoring engine captures the event, the automation agent escalates this to the on-call team. The on-call team investigates, escalates further, tries to solve the issue. At the end of the day, somebody applies a fix. Most of the times it happens to be a restart because they have the pressure from the business to recover service, and then the issue is fixed. Okay? If the guys from the subject matter experts are able to find the root cause, they will be able to fix, but if they don't have time, the thing will happen again, and it's something that's very clumsy. It's good, it's maybe better than the other, but it's at the same time a bit clumsy. Reasons being, it affects service, it's not providing a quick fix, and also it's very expensive because we need to have the subject matter experts, the ninjas, the guys who know Oracle, working 24/7 and working on call. And this is expensive, not just money-wise, but also people-wise, right? It's difficult to find people who want to be on call when they have lots of skills and they prefer just working during business hours instead of being called in the middle of the night to fix an incident. So how do we approach this? Our approach is trying to be implementing this smart operation autonomics, okay, which is the way that we've implemented and we've been doing with our customers with a good level of success. What we're trying to do here is to parallelize the two approaches. On the one hand, when something fails, we just go the simple way. We capture the event, we fix the event, restarting most of the times, service restored, business is happy, and things continue working. What we're adding here is by leveraging the use of AppDynamics is when something fails, instead of just capturing the event and restarting, we capture the event and we trigger a snapshot within AppDynamics. This snapshot provides all the context that's needed for the subject matter experts for fixing the issue. So at the same time as the event is restoring the service, okay, we're triggering this event and we're capturing all this information and sending this to a queue so that the subject matter experts during business hours are able to analyze. We're talking about things, people from network, from cloud, from the database, from application, all working hand in hand for fixing the issue. The benefits are quite evident, right? On the one hand, we're able to remediate quickly. Something fails, we restart and the service continues working very quickly, business is happy. On the other hand, when something fails, we're able to capture a snapshot of the context and then all the background information so that the smart guys can analyze and fix the issue long term can happen, okay? Because we're able to look for the root cause analysis during business hours with all the bright minds that are awake because they haven't been working through the middle of the night. They are able to work with peace of mind. I mean, something that's way different than waking up and trying to fix incidents at night. The important thing here is that we will be fixing this permanently. We avoid restarts and dependency on the automated remediation, and we get into a sustainable and healthy application instead of something that depends on a third-party tool. So this is one of the approaches that we're following with our customers for achieving a better level of operational capability with them. The next thing, okay, once we have this basic automation engine working, okay, is going through what we call deep application performance management as a service, which is taking this to the next level, right? So in this case, the core concept here is that we will be taking advantage of subject matter experts, the experts in each one of the towers, of the technology towers that are part of the customer application, but as a service instead of getting this fully embedded into our operation. Why do we need this? What's the value? I mean, why is it that we should be looking into this solution? Let's assume that we have AppDynamics already deployed. First slides, I mean, we go through the full consulting process and we have this deployed in a healthy and comprehensive manner. Okay? We have a level of automation already in place. I mean, we implemented the smart autonomics as I described previously. And then what we want to do is maximize the return of investment. I mean, we've bought these licenses which are great, but we want to take advantage and make full use of them and deliver operational excellence. Okay? That's pretty much the objective of what we want to do with deep application management, APM as a service. At the same time, we want to maintain the agility inside the DevOps team. We don't want to just outsource this to a third party so a third party manages our application. This is way too complex. And we also want to keep it secure. Then I will describe what's our approach for achieving all these objectives. Our approach for deep APM as a service is mostly agile deployment followed by a level of front-end operation, a level of core operation, and a level of service subject matter expert operation. All this in a secure fashion. Okay? I will be covering each one of these elements in detail. So the front end. I mean, our approach for the front end is to offer a service that delivers redundant 24/7 operation of the solution in a fully secure and ITIL compliant process. Okay, using ISO 27001 for security, 20,000 for process. So something that's fully dependable, that we trust, something that's always working 24/7 with all levels of support and redundancy, so that we feel confident that we have somebody taking care of our solution. Instead of having deep experts, what we have is people who are very AppDynamics savvy. I mean, people who understand the tool inside out. People trained in AppDynamics with at least 1 year of experience in the field. Okay, and these guys, they are not just forwarding alerts. They are the natural source of capturing, I mean, the natural team that's capturing the alerts. And these guys, instead of just forwarding the alerts to the other tiers of support, they're able to do retest and add brains and context and do first contact resolution of plenty of solutions themselves. This is something that we can offer worldwide. I mean, this is something that just works by leveraging the use of the tool that our customers have. And this is fully supported by a level of technical service managers. These technical service managers, what they do, is owning the problem management process. So they capture all these events, they capture all the resolution around this, and they're able to keep problem records and also solve these records, which are effectively managed by the continuous service improvement process. That is, that over time, I mean, they keep track of what's going wrong, and they apply the fixes, and they engage with either the operations team or the subject matter experts into trying to fix this. What's important here is that to make it very easy to implement is that nobody needs access to the managed solution. All the access that the first line of support, this front end, has to the tool, to the solution, goes through AppDynamics. This way, we maintain a level of isolation of the operations tool or front end with the solution, that enables for a very simple implementation. We don't need to go to full accreditation or anything like that. Everything happens just at the AppDynamics level. AppDynamics acts as a proxy towards the customer solution. The front end talks to the core operational team. This tends to be 90% of the cases owned by the customer. So it's the customer who's running the core operation. We're not trying to replace the customer operations team. What we're trying to do is just to enhance and to provide a bit more flexibility and capability to the core operations team that the customer has. So the reason for this not being part of the service is that development cycles, especially for customers that are implementing DevOps, it's extremely agile. As things are changing very quickly. They are deploying things every day. Okay, they are not following long-term deployment cycles. And embedding a third party in the process is really tough. I mean, if you need to have full release nodes and verified through many deployment environments before you get into production, very quickly all this agility is lost, and it's very difficult to get the third party up to speed with the changes that are going through your platform. You need to be very careful into keeping this completely pristine, I mean, without any external third party changes into this. The idea here is that the front end feeds the core ops, so all the curated alerts are all converted into incidents because all the automatic remediation has been tried already. All the context-aware remediation or incident resolution duties have been tried there, and they haven't been able to do this, and then they push these alerts back to the core ops. This means that most of the things that happen 24/7, the guys in the first line of support are able to cover, so the core operations team from the customer can continue working during business hours or during periods that are that do not require full availability. Okay, and this is something that feels very comfortable because all of a sudden the core operational team from the customer is augmented by this first line of support that's very savvy on the tools that we have. One requirement here is also to integrate pretty much with anything. That's fine. I mean, we don't have an issue integrating with anything like your event management systems, ticketing systems, or you name it. I mean, pretty much all the integrations we've been through already, so it's something that's simple to implement. Obviously, if customers don't want to take care of the core operations, we can take care of the core operations, but that's pretty much outside of the scope of this product currently as it stands. Okay. Once we have the core operations that's running in the customer, we offer the third phase, which is the subject matter expert access, which is adding a level of deep technical expertise in each one of the verticals that we are covering to support the core operation. What happens if your application all of a sudden is using a little bit of MongoDB and Oracle, and your guys are really, really experienced in MongoDB and they have some experience in Oracle, but they are not deep experts in Oracle? This is where we can come and fill these gaps. Same happens instead of just this, and things like, for example, maybe your guys are very well trained in AWS, but they don't know about Azure. We have experts in Azure. So we're trying to plug some of the holes that the core operations team may have, or if not just plug capability, plug time requirements, right? I mean, we have a level, I mean, we have a size, we have good size in our operations in SME teams that enable the core operations to offload some parts of the complex things like root cause analysis, automation implementation, optimization of the solution. So there's plenty of things that we can support towards the core operations team. Same as before, we don't need access to the solution. All the content, all the information that's needed for us applying all the smarts on the solution comes directly from AppDynamics. It wasn't the case a couple of years ago when the tool was not so evolved and didn't have full coverage for absolutely all the elements that are part of a modern infrastructure, but nowadays with the full end-to-end solution that AppDynamics is offering, we're able just to work with access of the tool. We don't need to be accessing the infrastructure that's sitting there. The core technologies that we're touching in this case is AppDynamics, several cloud technologies, networking, we're talking F5s, NetScalers, I mean the classic on-prem infrastructure, storage, databases, application servers, web servers, so pretty much the whole stack of things that are related to web applications, which is the core of the business that we're doing. Okay? And finally, the benefits that we are getting out of this is access to experts for root cause analysis. We have experts across all these core technologies I was describing. Asynchronous operation, meaning that we are not on the critical path. I mean, something fails, the core operations team can take care of this, and then completely offline, we can work on analyzing root cause and providing fixes and providing ideas and best practices for fixing this. Okay, these guys, they have a best interest in fixing issues. I mean, the more issues they fix, the less work they will have because less incidents will be escalated to them. So it's a classic thing, right? At the beginning, these guys have a lot of work, and over time, this is narrowing and it's decreasing because the platform is more stable. Okay? It helps also customers leverage the existing investment. So all the investment that's been done on AppDynamics, they can leverage this and they can use the full functionality, which is something that tends to be quite complex if you don't have a lot of visibility in other customer solutions. And at the end, all this translates into peace of mind. I mean, you're comfortable that you are full coverage, not just because you're monitoring everything, but you have access to a set of experts that have really, really deep knowledge around all the technologies, and they can always be your last escalation point for fixing issues that you have currently in your infrastructure. Okay? So finally, putting it all together, how does good look like? I mean, some examples and some environments that we have implemented with our customers. So to showcase a little bit of the outcomes of implementing all this goodness, all these best practices that I described previously into the real world. Okay? Our standard use case, what I consider our baseline, would be a customer that's running on top of a hyperscale cloud. Most of our customers currently are running on top of AWS and Azure, 80-20, but it's moving towards a bit more towards Azure lately. These customers tend to be using AppDynamics SaaS controllers. I mean, they have already an evolved solution, and even though some of them are European-based, data sovereignty is not such a big issue currently for them, and if this is the case, we prefer just pushing everything into the software as a service controllers. I mean, they're exceptionally well managed by the guys in AppDynamics, always up to speed. It's one of the best options that we have. They cover a wide range of technologies. They cover things like Oracle, Java, PHP, MySQL, Windows, SQL, I mean, all sorts of solutions. And most of the times, it's customers who provide the core operation. They develop, and they also operate the basis of the solution. 80% is covered by these guys. Okay? So the approach that we follow for delivering this service is implement deployment at speed, implement then a smart operational dynamics, then the core operation is part of the customer solution, and then deep APM, okay, as part of the value-added services that we deliver to them. Okay, we'll cover three of the cases just for your reference. First one is it's a big customer that we have currently in Spain. These guys, they manage something like 50% of the hotel bookings in Spain. Spain is one of the largest destinations for tourism, so it's quite busy. We're talking about something in the range of availability requests in the range of 55 to 60 million per day, okay, which is quite a bit. So the challenges that this customer had are mostly B2B, meaning that it's mostly the likes of Expedia and similar websites that are asking these guys for the availability of hotels within Spain. They're managing 50% of the traffic there, which is quite substantial. So what challenges was this customer having? On the one hand, the environment was changing quite a bit, right? I mean, as they are a broker of these systems, they are connecting to third-party providers for delivering availability information of the different hotel bookings that may be available in different hotels. So it's something that changes a lot. I mean, pretty much on a daily basis, same as airlines. I mean, the prices and all this, it's very dynamic. They also have very seasonal and peaky traffic. Before Christmas and before summer vacation, there's plenty of requests. I mean, when just during summer, for example, everything falls and it's a valley of requests. It's nothing. So it's something that's changing a lot over time. And most importantly, response time. Response time for these guys equals revenue, literally. Okay, so if the response time of the website is more than 1 second, all of a sudden the guys from Expedia are not sending requests to them, and they're sending this to the competition. So if anything is going slow, automatically the revenues go really down. I mean, it's really a big problem. So response time was really important. The environment they have is more than 20 application servers, 10 database servers, a lot of cloud services in between for connecting to third party, and a lot of auto-scaling. Okay, depending on demand, we are scaling up and down quite radically. I mean, in this case, I think that just last week, the guys were running 80 application servers, okay, and I think it's something that's changing quite often. Our solution delivered the full APM as a service service I described previously. What benefits were we able to leverage? We reduced, from the one hand, the end-to-end deployment time from 4 hours to 5 minutes. Okay, we automated fully everything, so when they spin up a new instance, automatically we deploy the application server, we deploy the agents, we deploy the automations, we register this with the AppDynamics controllers, and they begin sending data, and we add this to once it's sending data, we have confirmation that it's sending data, we add this to the load balancing pool. So we make sure that the end-to-end is fully automated, okay, and this 5 minutes is the time it takes to spin up the VM and deploying all this. Okay. Then the first contact incident rate resolution, rate increased from 50% to 90%. That's quite a lot. And this is just because with the application map that you see with AppDynamics, okay, the operators that are operating the first line of support, they're able to pinpoint which third-party service is the one that's failing. They have a console, and they're able to disable that third party. Very quickly, they're able to reduce this. I mean, the resolution rate from 50 to 90% because they don't need an expert analyzing what's going wrong with the connectivity to this third-party service. It's something that it's very quick. The guys in the first line are able to fix the issue. And finally, full coverage, as this is something that's also covered in most of the environments, and mostly access to Oracle and Java subject matter experts. I mean, instead of having a massive operations team, they have 6 guys, and these 6 guys are running all the operation with all our support. They don't have 24/7 support. All the 24/7 support is delivered either by the front line that we're delivering or by the subject matter experts that we deliver on the other end. The core is still managed by them, so it's very cost effective. Another example is a massive global retailer, talking a global brand that has more than 1,000 sub-brands that are in most supermarkets and all this. Challenges that these guys were facing was mostly lack of consistency with between the different solutions. I mean, 1,000 brands mean 1,000 web agencies delivering different applications. Okay, but at the same time, they are a publicly traded company, and they have some very stringent security needs and some very demanding availability requirements. Okay, the environment is also a hodgepodge of technologies, and they have pretty much, you name it, and they have it, a mix of Windows, SQL, Linux, MySQL environments, I mean, you name it, okay, and also across a wide range of technologies. I mean, they are using AWS, Azure, they're using NTT's cloud, and they also some physical environments, so it's pretty much widespread, so it's very heterogeneous environment. In this case, we delivered also the same, a full APM as a service service to these guys, with a strong focus around automation and bootstrapping. So we wanted to make sure that absolutely everything was monitored there, and we had full coverage of what's going on. And as we were transitioning the customer into AWS, we integrated very tightly with CloudFormation. So as part of the CloudFormation scripts, when we spin up new environments that are part of a service catalog, we spin the environments up, taking into account also that we will be monitoring this with AppDynamics, so that we have all the agents, all the connectivity, all the networks, all the NAT services, and everything that's required to access the SaaS controllers right away. So it's very quick. It's something that can be deployed very quickly. Pretty much the same as before, right? We reduced the deployment time from 5 hours to 5 minutes. Okay, we increased the resolution rate from 30% to 70%. We were not able to increase it more because it's very heterogeneous, but at least with AppDynamics, with the application map, they are able to see what dependencies we have, so very quickly they can pinpoint what's going wrong. So we've improved on this part. And I think that the most important part is that we got the guys from InfoSec very happy, and because they were able to audit everything, which was something that was a really strong requirement from these guys. If InfoSec is happy, most of the guys are happy. So they're tough to please team, the guys from InfoSec, and consistent visibility across the right state. And finally, the last example. Again, it's a leading manufacturer of print and cameras solutions. I mean, quite easy to understand which one we're talking about. Okay, the challenges you would know what. I mean, the challenges are pretty much the same as we described previously in the other cases, which is in this case time to market, because they do a lot of events, they do a lot of promotions. Okay, that they need to be very quick for deploying these solutions, because it's mostly the web agencies that are delivering this. Extremely picky traffic during Christmas. I mean, this is mental because people are sending their pictures so that they can print them. They are also buying some cameras online and all this. So it's during Black Friday and this kind of seasons, the traffic goes through the roof. Okay. It's very lacking on application quality. I mean, there's a lot of third parties that are developing applications for these guys, and very quick, and the quality is non-consistent. I mean, there's plenty of really bad applications, and we need to take care of them. And also response time is important for them. The environment, we have a bit more control in this case. We have been able to deploy and deliver a templated environment that comes with everything built in, which is something that's quite useful. We've implemented auto-scaling in some of the cases, okay, and this is coming across both public and private cloud solutions. The solution that we implemented, full APM, full automation and bootstrapping, bootstrapping, and also the value added of packaging applications for autoscaling, not just autoscaling by spinning up VMs, but spinning VMs that are application ready and loaded. We reduce the deployment time from 4 hours to 5 minutes, always 5 minutes, because once we implement agility in deployment, we get to 5 minutes. We increase to 80% the first contact resolution rate, and also the incident resolution time. On average, we move from 60 minutes to 10 minutes, so it's quite substantial. Customers really happy, and we're growing actively with and doing a lot of things with these guys. And that's it. If you guys, thank you very much. And if you guys have any questions.
Using AppDynamics, did you actually integrate ticketing to ServiceNow?
Yeah, we integrate ticketing with ServiceNow and also the CMDB as well. As part of these scripts I described for checking what we have in APM, in AppDynamics, with what we have as part of our application landscape, our scripts that compare both things lean on the CMDB that happens to be hosted within CMDB, within ServiceNow. Also the ticketing, it's not just integration so that we push incidents into ServiceNow. Also, if these incidents disappear in AppDynamics, we're able to capture this and solve them automatically in ServiceNow, but we still keep track of the incident in ServiceNow so that you can do problem management and analysis of response times and everything within ServiceNow.
So are you doing like an automated runbook to do a change control in ServiceNow? So AppDynamics
we track all the actions that happen in AppDynamics. Everything that we do through the console in AppDynamics, we replicate everything into ServiceNow so that you can report on this from your service management, from the service management point of view. We do not integrate with the runbook automation functionality that ServiceNow has, because we lean on the one that we have within AppDynamics. Okay. Also, it's way more cost effective, right? I mean, it's quite expensive, the one in ServiceNow.
Thank you.
On your 3 examples, how long did it take you to get from start to finish with those projects?
Well, I mean, the first one, the one of the booking system, okay, it's been a customer of ours for more than 12 years, so we knew the platform inside out, so it's almost like a trick. And it took us, the deployment, the consultancy and the deployment at scale part, it took us something like a week's time. It was quite quick. The first autonomics was something that we didn't implement at all because it was already there. But the deep APM as a service thing, it took us a bit longer, something like 3 to 4 weeks, because we had to analyze a lot of business transactions, and it was something that took a lot of time. One that we started from scratch was this one, okay? And the first part, which was analyzing the state and all this, was a longer period. It took us pretty much a month to talk to all the key stakeholders for doing the first part, the deployment part, okay? But the rest of the things were easier, were quicker to implement. So it changes a little bit. The more complex the solution is, the more it takes at the consulting phase, okay? And the more time we spend in consulting, the easier the rest of the parts become. Well, anyway, if you guys have any questions, I will be around and more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.